Okay, should be good to go.
All right, Sky Valley Public Works Facilities Committee meeting is Thursday, May 14th, 2026, 9 a.m. We're going to call this meeting to order. Any objections? Let's go. First order of business would be the approval of minutes, but Jim said he had something that maybe wasn't accurate.
Yeah, there were two things. One, the first is extremely minor. I'd like to, I really attendees, I really attended.
It's not on there.
And,
Moving further.
under those present. And the second, I mean, you know, in general, the minutes were great. We had great presentations on a couple of different subjects by the city guys. Clear, concise, you know, shared the challenges with this, specifically recycling. But when we get down to the summing up under the general consensus, I had reads education may not resolve compliance issues, and we credit that to Jared, and may or may not. And the current program requires reevaluation for sustainability and efficiency, which I think was what we're trying to do in the meeting, but that wasn't. I didn't think that was the consensus. I felt very pleased as I was walking out to my car after the meeting, because I thought we were developing consensus. And if you go back a page under the service model discussion, Mr. Greer suggested a hybrid approach. And in other words, this was the consensus that I thought I heard at meetings, that we needed to do the education aspect and do the recycling station where people could sort in advance, and that would take some of the burden off the collection operation. It sounded like the collection operation sort of at a breaking point where we were going to need another person or something, or we need to purchase expensive equipment to do it. And if we could just ease off on the quantity we were collecting, we might be able to continue as we were. So the education piece of it seemed very simple to me. One, we don't collect broken glass. If you've got broken glass, you package it up safely, you put it in your garbage in such a way that it's not going to go through the bag and create messes and the safety issue, the guys handling it. Because the guys don't know when there's going to be broken glass in there. And then the second, we have to take care of our paper and cardboard separately. Don't mix it in with the glass and the cans. And finally, that the cans and the glass need to be rinsed. And that way you don't have the smell, you don't have the fuse in the soda bottles. And I think we're back at a model that we can handle safely and efficient. I'm sorry.
No, a couple things. One, I don't think that the education is simple, because I think partly we want to educate people who aren't recycling. I've heard a number of people say, "Oh, it just goes to the dump anyway." That's a myth. It's not true. And so that's something I like to dispel. But I think if people really can see what a landfill looks like, I mean, I'd like to have everybody visit a landfill, but short of that, I think part of education could be a video saying, "Here's why we recycle. Here's what it's about." and how we get that distributed, I have no idea. But the other part of it, well, back to the minutes, is that in the minutes, Sharon just put a hybrid model. It didn't really explain what that meant.
Yeah,
And I thought that needed to be fleshed out a little bit.
Under general consensus, if we need to just add something, because I understand what you're saying myself. You think you look at it now. I think I don't think you're wrong at all.
yeah.
I think we're all on the same page.
Could
It just
very well
sounds
be amended someplace.
Yeah, they were, and then maybe when it got reworked.
Yeah.
Squished it in there, but, so is there something you want to add there? You want to take one of those out?
Well,
Move it forward.
I think I'd take,
I mean, you could take general consensus out, because we're not really quite there to a place where we're all like fully in on one thing, we're still investigating other.
right, yeah,
other-
I thought we were getting close to it.
Yeah.
And, you know, the current program requires reevaluation for sustainability of efficiency, maybe that's sort of the introduction.
Yeah.
To why we're even here.
Yeah.
But my real concern is that we meet every 2 months. And, you know, we've got a summer season when we got everybody in Sky Valley, and they're actually meeting, you know, the messages and the bills that go out. And we can start the education, you know, very quickly. But I just sort of felt like there was a preconception coming in that, well, we're gonna kill the recycling program because we can't figure out how to fix it. And, you know, other cities do it. I mean, the time I've been in Sky Valley, it's been the guys in the city that come up with the solutions 90% of the time. I mean, new equipment, more efficient ways to do things. How have we been managing with taxes that don't keep up with inflation? It's because the guys are being more productive because we've got, you know, they have the problem, they present the solutions. So, anyway, if we're gonna start, we need to get the recycling boxes out there, and we gotta get whatever we're gonna do education wise. Start pretty quick order.
Was there a consensus to keep the program?
That was my feeling.
Yeah, I think so far, what we discussed, and we're still discussing it today, so this is really just a
Yes.
minute, so we still have recycling on the agenda today.
Yeah.
And I'll do a better job next time of looking at the notes and making sure it doesn't, because when I scanned it, I thought it looked fine, but when you're saying it,
Okay.
I understand.
Okay.
Yeah, where it felt like we really like landed on something we're really tight. And I feel like what we discussed is like one option was you could kill the whole thing, because right now it's really time consuming for the guys, a little dangerous and expensive. Which doesn't mean kill it, it just means that's where it's at right
Yeah.
now. It's not quite at a place where it's sustainable, it's not easy for y'all to do as public works.
I mean,
So there was a lot of different options. There was like education, which I feel like I agree with what you're saying, is we don't have to wait to start that. We can do education right now.
Yeah.
Trying to get people to initiate that and get that moving forward while we figure out what we do the whole program.
right, and one of the comments, someone was opinion online was that, hey, I've never seen any instructions to how we're supposed to prepare the recycling. Well, but the guy's
And
presentation.
I'm a new owner since last summer, and we're in a condominium complex, which is, you know, a little more complicated
It's,
to do this. Zero instruction.
mhm.
And we had a couple guys who were really hardcore recycling. And a couple people say, oh, that's just what we're done. So you get quite a mix there. And it's like, what are we supposed to do? I think theoretically, we're supposed to do our own separation, right?
Yes.
But we've got one container.
Well,
Yeah.
pardon me?
We've got one-
Yeah, and we've got 8 containers, but they all still end up completely mixed up. And I think it's because people don't really know how it's supposed to work. One guy really knew, but anyway.
Mr. Chairman, if I may add something to this. And this is something that's been discussed. Again, I apologize for my voice. That's how it works on the field. But there has been some discussion. I think marketing has kind of touched on this, as well as some other entities, committees. But we've talked about trying to do what we call Sky Valley 101, which would probably be like a quarterly type thing where we would have, Jerry may remembers that, where maybe like an hour, new visitors would come, new residents would come in. The police could come in, talk about quiet time, the dark sky stuff, we talked about that. The public works could talk about trash pickup, recycling, what we do, what we don't. It really hasn't really picked up any traction. We've had other things going on, but there has been some, and that would be an educational piece. That would be and like again, like an introductory to Sky Valley 101. Again, we would have probably kind of like a meeting with the mayor where you have maybe coffee and snacks or something. New residents would come in. We could show them the size of the trash can. We actually sell those trash cans. If somebody wants, anyway, I don't want to take up too much time, but the point I'm trying to say is from the educational component, this has been discussed and it's never really gathered traction, but it is something that I think as you're talking about this, and this may fall under that. So just wanted to add that.
It's a great
Yeah.
idea. Lita Thomas.
Yeah.
And to add into it, the emergency preparedness, that pamphlet.
Yeah, exactly. What do you do during a storm? You know, yeah.
Like, because that's on Thursdays, like some of that
Yeah.
information, I would say during the summer, high residence season, it would be helpful.
We were talking about like doing it quarterly.
Well, but
Yeah,
see,
yeah.
during the summer, I think there's more people, I think it would be make more sense to do it like every month and a half. And then just once or something during the winter.
It's a good opportunity for some of the communities to kind of connect a little bit too, and like start to overlap a little bit with education and come together a little more. That I want to jump back to just get done with the minutes, and then we go to Dark Skies, and they're going to give us a presentation on recycling as well. So I want to say time for that. So with the minutes, how do you deal with that? Because I'm fine with just Xing that out because you can do it.
Well, that's fine. I mean, I don't have a problem with the sentences.
You didn't want to go forward with that.
And
I think we're on the same page.
yeah, okay. So I guess the consensus was that,
Still looking at options.
yeah, we're still looking at options, but we're not prepared to,
Nothing to push
yeah. But this time I'm concerned about the urgency of summer.
And that's what I think that starting with education right away and not waiting on that.
Right.
You all think that would help? I know you can't pay anyone when you're stuck, so that's the difficulty.
True, yeah.
Compliance and education, I think.
Put out a place to post, share information, kind of plan.
Yep.
Everybody look at the do's and don'ts.
I'm a believer in consultation.
Yeah.
So, and I thought I saw this early on, where if, and maybe this was at Matter, if you don't comply, then your recycling is picked up. Like you get a notice on top saying, sorry, this needs to be clean, here's how you do it. I mean, you only do that once or twice. You don't, you only don't do your time card once or twice and not get a paycheck.
But rather than just leaving it, which then makes us go, how come the guys didn't pick up our stuff? It's like if you have pre-prepared note that says you're not in compliance.
Right. Like you could check it off and say, the cans aren't.
Well, we have to work
Cardboard's
on
not
Yeah,
crushed.
you can have a checklist,
Right.
maybe, and then you can check what.
Right, and maybe you could say, we took it this time, but next week, if it's not, then we're gonna leave it for these reasons.
I think I spoke in the first meeting we had about the recycling. We do put a lot of the blame on public works. We don't like to have the confrontation.
That's
And
a
we picked up stuff way more than we should have, and it's got to the point where it's gonna be really hard.
That night, I would like to find a solution that really constantly put public works in the
Yeah.
friction piece of that. Because you don't want the residents in public works, because you're just doing your job. They're just trying to get their stuff picked up. So trying to find that solution where there's not a headbutting friction and where you have to deal with it because some decision that affected you negatively.
Well, and on the pamphlet, you could put, contact Steve all
Yeah.
questions, Jason's personal phone number.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I need more phone calls.
Don't shoot the messenger.
QR code on there has all.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I am glad to say we have Ray, with TNT is gonna be speaking later, Mr. Chairman, and, I think he's give us some insight about, some of the real world of what recycling, from a business perspective, but anyway, thank you all for coming in, by the way.
Sustainability wise, it's not necessary for the program to carry its own costs. Recycling management has been so successful that the price that, aluminum can makers are willing to pay and everything is pretty slim. Fundamentally, this is a service. We live in a community where, we're primarily a second home community. I mean, you've got to have a certain economic wherewithal to have two homes. This is a luxury. And so people are up here for adult summer camp in the summer, and they want to recycle, but the recycle facility is way down the hill. The city can collect the stuff. I mean, this is a service, and people expect to pay it for a service.
I would like to add, Councilman Curtis, is that, sometimes profitability in government is a dirty word.
Yeah.
But our trash and our water utility, you can, by Georgia law, you can make money. Where the general fund, it is a break-even entity. We're losing money on this. We're not making money. And the good thing about it is I'm not saying we should do this, but some cities and counties, their enterprise funds make such a level of profitability that when it comes time to approve your general fund budget every year, as you're looking to reduce taxes, et cetera, sometimes you can do intergovernmental transfers where some of that profitability surplus can be transferred to the general fund to offset taxes. So anyway, just a thought there on a side note, but yeah, I understand, but the point I'm trying to say is that I think there's kind of a mindset that we've had on the water and on the trash is, oh, well, we're breaking even, we're doing good. We're actually not breaking even, we're in the red. But anyway, I know we're talking about that, so.
One thing on the recycling and charging though, I would guess that we would have low compliance if we start charging because it's a summer community. And so they're gonna be like, I'm not gonna pay because I'm already paying for it in Florida. I was already paying for it.
Well, let's add it to your bill regardless, so.
Right, but if it's a separate line item kind of thing, so I would be cautious about that because I'd rather people take part in it versus say, I'm not gonna pay for that, so I don't have an opt-out option.
No, there's not an opt-out. It's just.
No, but you're talking about right now, they're talking about what they're discussing for the future. So I'm just-
Okay, are you on this committee now? Okay, I was,
But I'm
no, the reason I'm asking is that I wanted to get a quorum of who's here. I know we're new. And I was asking, I want to do a roll call to sheriff's down here. That's why I was just asking. I didn't know exactly who I was on it.
Was a consideration as a place to compost. Like, I would love a central place where I could compost. Right now, I throw it over my back deck. Compost in my backyard. That would be great, and it might be helpful for like the Sky Valley Country Club to have a compost pile that, so.
That was on my wife. She would say it her house.
Oh, okay.
So, you want to do roll call?
Well, yeah, since Sharon's not here, and I know that some of y'all, I know, I don't know. If everybody could just, maybe, I just want to, I'm trying to help Sharon out, so if everybody could just state who they are.
David Herschel.
Okay,
HERF.
thank you, Ms. Herschel.
Dick Greer, GRIER.
Okay. Cody, I know Cody, Cody English is our water coordinator. I know Jerry Show. And then, Matthew, thank y'all for coming today, Matthew. And then Ray. And then, Mr. Curtis, Mr. Price. And I forgot your name again now.
Lita, Leta. Thomas.
Thank you so
And Mr. Bennett, he's at that.
much. Okay. 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 So, all right. Thank you.
Thanks. So as far as minutes go, do we feel adding, I'm sorry, it's you, I don't know why I did that. And then deleting general consensus, you want to approve those, or would you like to wait for that? Cedar advised this.
Okay, let's do that. Yeah.
We'll approve those. So the dark skies ordinance, was everyone able to look at I just pulled some general information. It's a pretty common program. They have like guidelines and pretty fleshed out what it needs to put inside your code and how that Mr. Streeter, Jason, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe all we need to do at this point is if everyone's good with it, that to go before the council.
Correct. What would need next to be done is we would present this to the city attorney for his review to make sure. And if it is an ordinance, it does require 2 readings.
Yep.
But it goes through the process, advertise, first reading, introduction, discussion, second reading, adoption. So yeah, so that's if you are comfortable, like I said, the next step is we would forward this to Mr. Kidd and I definitely think this is something that we could have before the council in July, meeting, June. I'm getting ahead of myself. So
Yeah, the whole process of it has to be submitted to the paper, so many readings, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Takes, what, 30
this would be, if it's just an ordinance, typically we could probably do this in 30, 45 days. If you do it through regular meetings, first reading would be June, second reading July. If it was something that's a sense of urgency, we could always do a special called meeting to have a second reading. But again, those are things that, and it may take Mr. Kidd some time. He may have some comments, corrections that need to be, and depending upon what the degree of what that correction is, it may be, if there's enough questions that may need to come back from you all, you could always call a special meeting to address that and then send it back. Yeah, but I would say within 45 days, we could have something on the books adopted by the council.
So I read it, but came out so well. But there was something about like downward lights or something like that. On the lights, so we have a couple neighbors, one's a short-term rental, one's not, who have these big bulbs that are wrapped around their decks that stay on for, in my opinion, too late. Are those considered downward lights, or would those be things that would not be appropriate?
From what I understand, it has to be above a certain light, and I don't think those would, I don't know if it's that enough lights for it to count.
Even when they're.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know.
Because for me, it's more about like, we moved up here, I grew up in New Hampshire where there's no street lights. So I'm used to very dark skies, but it's the animals and the migration and the birds and all those things that struggle when we start to live in their area. To try and, if we could have timelines, like, okay, have those off by 10, something like that.
There already is I think it falls in the code under nuisance, but there is a little bit of lighting code. And there's what they would call like sound and lighting nuisances. And I think it's 10 or 11 PM to 6 or 7 AM. But again, like the recycling program, a lot of that comes down to compliance, and it'd be really hard for Jim Meyer and chief bombs to go to every house and take all the lights down. That's where it gets weird. Like we can pass the ordinance, that's the start of it, and then trying to get it that come into it is, I think, it takes a little longer, in my opinion.
Voluntary compliance is always.
It's
way to go.
in the zoning, planning and zoning world, typically this is referred to as good neighbor zoning.
Yeah.
Directional lighting downward, because most of the complaints that we receive Jim Pyburn receives, the police, is the floodlights that are up, and you want to go sit out on your deck and relax at the end of the night, watch the stars, and your neighbor's lights are shining onto you. And a lot of times it's a simple call or something. Hey, we had a complaint. Could you direct your lights down? And then the next thing we have to do, I apologize, I'm not trying to dominate the discussion, but just give you real world examples, is we tell people, the example that I've given is, okay, if you're driving to Athens on a Saturday night in October, you can see the lights from Sanford Stadium 5 miles away, but those lights are not necessarily shining in your eyes. So just so you understand, if you go out on your back deck and you can see those lights, even though they're shining downward, as long they may be in compliance, even because the lights are on, or if your neighbor across the road, they have a little light at the front door that stays on. Maybe you might, hey, you put a 10-watt bulb, a 20-watt bulb down. We do try to also state, obviously, if the lights are shining in your eyes is one thing, but if you walk outside, you can see the light, but that's another thing. So anyway,
We did do that, so
yeah.
one of the floodlights was
Yeah.
shining into our bathroom, into our bedroom.
And the classic example, yeah.
So I did speak to her about that, and I did also mention, could you turn those down at night because of the animals, and she has.
Yeah.
I just was more curious as to whether or not those are considered downward, because I didn't know.
Yeah, if it is, from what I understand, if you can see it from your house, like directly shining, it's probably not a downward light.
Yeah, that one she fixed.
In the mountains, somebody's over the mountain, there's gonna be,
Right.
You can
sending somebody down.
One of the things that I've noticed, if you've ever driven through North Carolina at night, a lot of the street lights that they have, they've got that almost black amber light, kind of a purplish hue to it. You can see, but it's not as intrusive as some of the light. Of course, we don't have street lights here in the city except at the main entrance, but if some people had those, maybe they don't seem to be as intrusive as your typical white light. But
Another, so, and it may not be in time for the National Night Out thing, but if there was a vendor who sold the lights, the colored lights that you should be using, they might be willing to come up and, sell those lights to help with awareness too.
I bought little motion lights that are solar, so they keep the light down, and then with their motion lights, it's much less intrusive to your neighbors to the only small ones. Trying to replace as many of those in the compliance before this goes through, but I think most of the dark skies ordinance will probably affect new construction more than anything else. So I believe, and I'd have to look at the code again, but I think it does have a few ordinances. So if someone's building a new house, they're not going to get it installed from the get-go.
And again, it's probably some bit of education for.
Yeah. When you talk about voluntary compliance, Mr. Curtis, what would be the thought if maybe if we had a program, and Sharon is great about coming up with these little cute little things where maybe we had like a little decal that somebody could stick in the window that says dark skies compliant or something like that. Because people do like to, I have found in my 5+ years here at the city, people do like to overall follow the rules and do what's right, and they like to recognize for those things. Just a thought again, for the sake of discussion.
I lived in the Highlands for 15 years, and quite a bit of air problems, and we had magnets made up for all the VRBOs to put on the refrigerator, so that the new person coming in can see, oh, better not leave my trash out. and whatever.
We have a basic form like that, Mr. Greer, that when you get your short-term rental license, it's a sheet that we laminate, and it is required to be put in a conspicuous location like a refrigerator, but it talks about quiet times, trash, the location of the compactor, the address, because we have found that like somebody's having chest pains and the wife calls, I don't know where I'm at. I'm at a short-term rental, but they can go to that, oh, I'm at 115 East Saddleback, whatever. But I don't know if it talks about bears, but that's simply to be added. Yeah. Yeah, we could add something that, that the Sky Valley is a dark size skitty. Exactly. I say that twice. Dark skies city. Yeah, that's something we could add, certainly. And have a couple little bullets about what that entails.
I think the decal and sticker thing is good. That's a good idea because like if you're out and about, even walking or whatever, people always notice decal sticker and they're always looking, like it's an eye catcher, and be a good reminder for them. Well,
And for you folks, to see the- so it's education. And, I talk about voluntary compliance, but, I really don't think we ought to have a perpetual grandfather again of all the bad rights either. I mean, if we put a 10-year limit on, you've got 10 years to take care of some of these issues, I would think that would strike most people as being a pretty reasonable accommodation. Okay.
10 years, a lot of folks, a lot of councils can go with 10 years.
Yeah.
A lot of staff, people. Yeah, but that's a good thought though. Yeah. Yeah.
I just want to stop. I'm just picking it up.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Uh,
I was thinking she was on ours. coming.
So I think,
Do we need a motion to refer this to Doug to put it in formal form?
yeah, I think we're done with discussion.
Go ahead.
Unless anyone else has anything else. Need a motion to refer this again.
I so moved. Yeah, we can put it in what we consider to be final form, and then we'll take our scalpels to it.
Is this something, Mr. Chairman, you'll send him directly or?
Sure thing.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
I'll-
okay.
I'll CC you on it.
Okay, thank you so much. Yes.
It's a reference to LMIG in those minutes. And I didn't know if that was appropriate. I thought LMIG had to do with road development.
That stands for Local Maintenance Improvement Grant. Just real quick, since you asked, Mr. Herschel, every year, and it's based on road miles. We have about 31 miles of road. The state sets aside so much money every year, and we have to apply for that with qualifying projects. So that kind of offsets what we spend out of the general fund. Fortunately, with T-Splice, we've been able to do a lot of stuff out of that, but any money that we get from LMIG is money that's not going out of T-Splice. So that's what that it's a grant. In fact, there's actually a supplemental grant that we're going to be applying for. The deadline's next month, but that's what that is. It's a grant. It is help for road resurfacing. Culvert. It would not. It would not. It would. That money typically goes towards resurfacing. We bought stop signs. We bought. We took the in-ground cans out of the right of way a couple years. But there's a numerous things that I don't believe it would qualify for that. Dark skies, no sir. Yeah. And there may be some other grants that might, but that's a good question.
I think we're wrapped up with our dark skies discussion, and I'd love to move on to recycling. Yes, you don't like to start.
Yeah, that's fine. I didn't know how many people were gonna be here today, but I've got 5.
Excuse me, just a quick question. Do you guys work together or are you separate?
No, we work together.
Okay, thanks.
It's a family business, so.
Could I give a brief introduction, Ray, a little bit?
Yeah.
I want to thank Ray and his son, for coming in today, Matthew. Uh, they have TNT sanitation. They're in our area. And as we were talking about recycling, and pricing and options, et cetera, et cetera. Of course, Ray, they're in the business to do, they do recycling, trash pickup. I thought they could really give a real world business perspective about things as we're exploring options. I mean, there's been discussion about in the past about possibly privatizing this. I don't know. But again, I thought it'd be very timely for them to come in, give some insight as this committee weighs through options. So thank you for coming in and I'll stop there. I've talked too much already.
All right. I have 5 copies of like introductions of like what we do and who we are, that type of stuff. I only have 5. I can make some more copies and bring them in. We can share.
Yeah, I can grab it. I'll go make,
All right.
I can make.
Just to give some brief information, we've been doing this. This is our 7th year. We currently operate in Macon County. We do recycle pickup and we do like junk hauling and that type of stuff. In Jackson County, meaning Sapphire, Glenville, Cheshire, Toxaway, we do trash and recycle pickup. When we do recycle pickup, it's for businesses and homes. And then we have some customers up here in Sky Valley. That's how we ended up stopping here to see if there's anything we can help you guys with and stuff like that. And we've had some discussions as far as what you guys do or maybe ways we could help. And then in here is a list of like what we offer of our services. We have a website too, if you're interested in that type of information. As I was listening to what you guys were talking about, I didn't chime in at the time because I figured we were going to come back to it. But there's a few things that I wanted to point out from the 7 years that we've been doing this. You guys are talking about education, about how to educate people on what it is that you're doing. A few suggestions is we send out a newsletter, just a little 1-page newsletter or something, like every couple months to remind people of what to do, how to do things properly, things like that. Because as you guys probably are well aware, education is a constant process. It's not a one-time put something out. They'll do it, and then 6 months later, they're not going to do it. So it's a constant process. You can do the like a piece of paper that they put it in the plastic, that they do the heat treating or whatever, and put it right on the bin of the instructions. So the customers will know exactly what it is that they need to do and how to do it. And then another thing for education is a lot of parents like to help their kids. So if you can make something up and put it in schools as a project the kids can do during the day, they'll take it home, parents can see it. So then you can kind of reverse educate people on what it is that needs to be done. As far as the routes and the runs, we prefer to separate everything as we pick it up. It takes a little bit longer to do as we're picking it up, but then when we go to unload, we just take the full bins and unload them where they need to be. When we do go to pick things up, I heard somebody mention about having like a centralized place for people to drop recycling. In our experience, if you can find a good way to do that, it might work. In our experience, we haven't found a good way to do that. Because if you give a customer 2 bins, if you give a customer 3 bins, they're going to be a mess. They're going to be mixed up. There's going to be trash. There's going to be whatever. If you take that and magnify it to a bigger scale, now you have a bigger mess. So that's what we have found. And I agree, I can't remember if it was you guys that said that about the complaints of customers was the broken glass. If you're taking everything, and I don't know the exact process, but if you're taking everything and putting it into a big truck, things are going to break. There's going to be broken glass after the fact. And then, like, for the broken glass, if they don't want to handle it, it's in the bin. If you leave it in the bin, then you have to deal with the customer complaint. So it depends on how many complaints you want to deal with or what you want to do. Because like for us, we take everything and just pour it into where it needs to go. And we separate everything to go drop it off. And even if there's some trash in there, not like a full bag, but if there's like miscellaneous things, we'll just keep a bag with us and we just take care of it and customers never know. And you know, we keep track of like the repeat offenders and that may require a conversation. But if there's gonna be a complaint involved, you need to get it to a point where it's gonna be worth it. You can't nitpick every little thing because you don't have time for that many complaints.
And that's, like I said, that's a lot of the reason why we did.
Yeah.
And it's got to the point now where it's almost everybody's not doing it correct.
It's commendable what you're doing, but it's not sustainable.
Right, and of course, it adds cost to handling it and the after part. I know we've had some discussions about, whether you guys are trying to free up some labor to do other things in the county or do other things in the city. If we can help out there, we definitely would be glad to help out. A lot of times is what we do is, and I don't know how this fits in with what the city is trying to accomplish, but a lot of times we focus on the people that want to recycle first. Let them get the other people excited about it, and then it just kind of expands and it moves from there. Because like you said, if you get people that are out there that don't believe in recycling, they throw whatever they want in there, creates a mess, and they're like, it goes to the dump anyway. You know, if you can focus on the people that want to recycle, and then as people see that it's being handled legitimately, then other people are going to start to join in. And you have some of those that never will. And that's fine. I mean, not everybody wants to recycle, not everybody believes in that. So, you know, you try to make sure, you know, we've got some customers that tend to have more than they should out there, but they're recycling. They're doing what we're asking them to do. They separate everything, they bring stuff out. You know, so we kind of cater to them or help them along the way. You know, hey, here's other ways you can recycle. Or if somebody starts recycling cardboard, we can say, hey, you know, you can recycle this or that or whatever, you know, the plastic, the aluminum. You know, so we kind of take what the customers give us and we just expand from it. You know, but you got to have a starting point to get people excited about it.
I'm not clear on how you do that. How do you start with the people who are interested and are most dedicated to it? How do you do that?
Okay, for us, we go around, we've been doing a lot of advertising over these last 7 years. We pick up the customers who want to do the recycling. So in a neighborhood, we may have, you know, 10 or 15 stops on a road or two, you know, when we go out there. And then as people see our truck, as they see what we're doing with the recycling, as they talk to their neighbors, then they're like, hey.
So you're actually recruiting individuals to be part of the program.
Right.
Okay.
But let's face it, if you're happy about something, if you're excited about something, are you gonna share it?
Yes.
So that's exactly what we're going for.
I'm not sure how that translates to what we're doing.
I think we have a big customer base that, I don't think we're really in the business of reaching more people to recycle. We just want the people that is recycling to do it right. Because we have a bunch of people recycle.
Right. And maybe in this case, it would be not gaining more people to recycle, but maybe helping people in everyday conversations and whatever to want to do better, to get excited about the program. Because people are excited about the program through education, information, whatever, they're gonna want to do it and they're gonna want to do it right. So that would be kind of focus is instead of trying to gain new people, it would be trying to, the big thing is gonna be the education, to educate people on how to do it. Because especially in the summertime, I completely agree with you guys. Between the bees, the snakes, the bears, the whatever, we can definitely have our hands full if people don't rent stuff out, don't put stuff out there correctly.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's safer for the driver, it's safer for the customer to do it correctly. You just have to be able to reiterate that.
But I just want to object to what you said about centralized recycling, where people bring things to the big bin.
Mhm.
I'm from Highlands for 15 years, and we have 2 areas that, actually 3, that we recycle at. And they have the big bins. They seem to work really well, but it takes the individual to separate, go to the site, separate, and put in the correct bins and go. And they seem to function really well.
Okay, is it supervised?
Yes,
Is the one,
the supervision is very minimal.
okay, so when you look at the bins, if it's supposed to be aluminum cans, it's all aluminum cans, there's nothing else in it.
Well, I just learned yesterday, I've been putting biplates and aluminum foil in, that I'm not supposed to do that.
Right, that goes in the tin or the scrap metal, that's not,
Yeah,
aluminum.
even, but it's aluminum.
It's called aluminum, but it doesn't go in the aluminum, yes.
So I put a magnet on it. Okay, so that, okay, so, and I've been doing this for decades.
Uh-huh.
And I learned something new yesterday.
Yeah.
Because there was a sign on there, no tin foil. Anyway, the 3 sites that I go to, one of the sites had problems early, they made an adjustment. And I haven't been back to that one, but the other 2 seem to work really well. It's because the people who go there want to recycle and they want to do it right. They're actually driving to the site to do that recycling. So I just want to, I don't mean to object, but just to say a caveat that, that I believe it's possible to do that. And I think we could possibly do that.
See, and is what we shoot for, because we go to Franklin, we go to where they take all those trailers when they go pick them up.
Right.
And you know, we operate in all those facilities.
Right.
And is what we do, because we pick it up, is when we pick a bin out of the truck, we make mistakes the same as everybody else does, but we know that again, it's not as many. So when you go to empty out the trailer, or you go to empty out the semi-trailer or the trailer you pull behind the truck, whatever it is, as they pull those bins out, if most of it is something, that's where they dump it. I don't know if that affects that bundle or that load being accepted or rejected or whatever. So we try to make it as clean as we possibly can, so that then whoever handles it after us, it gets accepted, it, you know.
Yeah, see, I don't see that end of, all I see is where we actually separate, put it in, but then you guys are seeing it actually be delivered.
Right.
To the landfill.
Right. And I'm not saying that everybody does this on purpose, even well-meaning people, you know, they go in there, they dump their stuff in somewhere, and, you know, they pick the wrong box, or they pick the wrong spot, they're like, well, it's being recycled, and then they leave, and I'm like, but it's in the wrong, you just dumped it in the wrong bin. I was like, you know, and that's where the people that work there are supposed to kind of fine tune it, like they keep an eye on what people do, and they kind of move things around. But at the same time, if you're gonna have somebody monitor it, if you're gonna have somebody pay somebody to work there, I don't know if that helps you any on your cost reduction for not having somebody go around and pick stuff up. So.
Yeah, I don't think we'd ever be able to have someone work there would be sustainable. I think right now, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think basically residents pay for garbage and recycling all in one bucket. So that from the city's perspective, we're not quite making that up. So as we're trying to figure out all these different ideas of privatization or education or centralization to try to figure out what concept can we figure out where everyone still gets their recycling service that they already get. But you know, the city's not just burdened with multiple days, especially in summer, 2 days of sort of stuff.
As I said, if it's an option, if you guys want to go with that, well, I don't know how many people, if you could collect information on how many people in the city actually recycle. Like in some of the other cities that we do, they have trash collection or they have whatever, but the people will pay us for the recycling. So the recycling isn't part of the services of the trash part of it. It's just those that want to recycle then pay for the recycling. Those that don't want to, don't have to pay for it.
Well, and I made a comment earlier about when we were talking about like how people, with this being a luxury of, people's second homes and stuff like that. A lot of people that come down are used to that convenience. So to them, they're not concerned or worried about the extra cost of, paying for another service or, paying for two separate services at each house. They're so used to that convenience to them going to a place to drop it off or, stuff like that isn't really worth their time. So about that too, like I said, they're not really, most of them don't mind paying that extra, charge you get a service here and, a service down there. And for us, when we have somebody that comes into town and when they leave, we'll start their service back up when they come in and then we'll suspend it when they go, or, we'll kind of accommodate to them on what, times they're here, what times they're not, stuff like that. But yeah, for the most part, they don't like.
So that kind of ends the discussion of the back, what we're calling the backdoor service. The deal where they pay $7 a month, and you guys actually go right up the driveway, pick up their trash and the recycle, right? And so the kind of customer you're talking about has the option to do that, right? That's how that works?
Well, they have the option to suspend the service. And then for us, we can either do curbside pickup, or we can do like at their front door or at their garage door or whatever. And for us, we charge the same either way. If we just make it a luxury for the customer not to have to.
Right.
So you have different options between whether it's curbside or backward.
Right.
And that has the cost difference.
It's the same.
It's the same cost.
Yep.
Just depends on where they want to put it.
Where y'all at $30 a month, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so Mr. Green, right now, we're at $23 a month, been there for quite some time.
And that's for everything?
Yeah, the back door is, the extra 7 does make that 30. But the lion's share of our customers are the flat $23 a month. And as we're talking about solutions and I do think finances do play a role in this because we don't have a recycle truck right now. That's $75,000 that we're looking at to buy. Our trash truck is a 2013. It's fixing to be 14 years old. $250,000 probably replace that. Would that be a good estimation? Our workers' comp is going through the roof. Insurance is going through the roof. All of those things. If this was something that was presented to the council, again, Ray, as we talked about, if as you explore options in privatization, if that were an option, obviously that'd be bid out. We talked about that. But if that was a pass-through fee, then that $30, instead of going to $30 a month, if we had that $30, that's added to the bill. You send us a bill per month, kind of like Serverline. That's a pass-through fee. That fee's added to the water bill. They bill us every month. We pay them once we collect. It may be a way to offset some of that cost. We can focus on water, which is another topic for another day that we've got to address. But again, looking at the numbers, we just paid the workers' comp trash. Anyway. I don't want to get off topic, but these are the real world things that we're talking about. Real big capital purchases that we're faced with. We're using an F3. We're using an older truck right now that's not designed to be a recycle truck, but you do what you have to do. So
Okay, so what I'm seeing right now, I'm not seeing everything, are two different approaches. One where we privatize that you can do it for $30 a month per customer, okay, and that's what we're getting.
possibly not 23 is,
23 right now.
but it would be a mandatory. It would be no opt out. It'd be just part of your bill.
Right.
Yes,
Is that 30 for trash and recycling?
yes.
Or you guys, that's just recycling?
We charge 30 for just recycling in Macon County, and we charge 30 for the trash and recycle in Jackson. So we just have kind of a set fee for all that, and then if they have an excessive amount, then obviously it's excessive fee, but an additional
Okay,
fee.
so what I'm seeing as a second option is doing a centralized place with bins, of the order that we talked about a little bit before. And then for those who want backdoor service, they pay $7, and you guys would have to continue to pick those up. Do you think it would be a high percentage, or it's hard to say?
No, I don't think there'll be a high percentage of people that want the backdoor service.
Right.
How many customers y'all have?
Maybe,
Maybe
How many?
10, yeah.
maybe.
10 out of 600.
Oh, yeah, okay, so what if we lumped in the VRBOs and the, timeshares, and we required them to do it? Now, I know there's an objection there to the cost, but when you're making $200 a night, and you're talking $84 a year for your backdoor service, I don't know how they could object.
You could just add it. Probably one way to just add it, you pay a $300 a year right now license, 384. I mean, that,
84.
I mean, I don't know, but that might be one way to look at it. Or round it up to $400 a month, $400 a year.
Okay, so
I mean,
the
those
point
are,
is that wouldn't be that difficult to do. How many VRBOs and?
we have probably around 85 right now.
VRBOs?
Yes, sir. That are licensed. And
Well,
we're,
that's another.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
exactly. But we use a scraping software that identifies the non-compliant folks. But at one time we were probably around 120. But as we've gone into this compliance licensing program, a lot of folks just elected to no longer do it. They've sold or they've gone to the long-term 30-day or more. But right now we're probably around 80 to 80, and it fluctuates.
Okay, then what about
Timeshares, the way they're structured, that people buy those, their owners, that they're really not a part of that. There's some nuances there. We've had conversations, but
we have a number?
there's 73 timeshares. But
73 times.
but you know, because you have owners, they're there for the week. They own, so they're paying I guess a maintenance fee, but it's not a rent, I guess. So
Okay.
there's some, we talked with Mr. Kidd about that. There are some nuances there because we have had that conversation about would they be subject to that annual registration, but the way that timeshares are structured and the way our ordinance is structured, there's
Okay,
some,
well, just for general purpose, talk about maybe that's 150. 150 back doors, what's the 10, 160, how many recycle bins, how many customers do you have now?
but they have the large bins, right? Your timeshare units, they have the master trash bins, yeah.
My question is, how many are you picking up now?
On the timeshares,
No, everything.
I would say 100 stops, probably 100 stops every Monday.
So if we required these other entities to do backdoor service, that'd be 150 backdoor services.
Yeah, but I don't think that there would be every Monday, you know, there wouldn't be recycle there every Monday.
I see.
Because like we talked about, it's such a in and out, everybody's in and out all the time.
Yeah, especially winter time, that'd be way out. I'm just trying to figure out whether the backdoor service thing would be manageable for you. Because I'm really sympathetic to the way things are working out. I feel for you guys, it is crazy, and we gotta change it. The question is, how do we change it? Go with you guys, or do more like what I'm talking about, centralized recycling, and then just do backdoor service.
You know, the other thing too, Mr. Greer, is as you mentioned, the staffing. Like everybody else, I don't know who you are, Ray. We constantly have a revolving door of one or two guys. When Jerry's fully staffed, he's at 9. He's got about 6 core guys that are established: Cody, Jerry, Dustin, Neil. But it seems like we get somebody on, we train them, they stay, they leave. A lot of the young folks, they're just not going to do it. It don't matter what you pay them. they're just not going, they're not gonna pick up trash. I mean, it's not the crew running the ship. It's just, I don't want to get into the cultural thing, millennial, whatever, but is there's a young man's component to this job. We struggle to find folks that are physically able to want to do it. I don't want to speak for you, Jerry, but and when as we get into we just hired a guy. We hope it's going to work out. But we still are down some folks, right down one position. We're getting into the busy time of year. And so, that if, again, I'm not trying to steer towards privatization, but as you explore all options, that whether it was Ray's company or somebody else, if that was privatized, come Monday, that's TNT's problem. And he's got staffing and he's got, yeah.
We understand.
Yes, yeah, I just,
Trying to flesh out this other side.
yeah.
So what I'm talking about is that's what you guys think manageable from your end.
I mean, yeah, I think so. So what you're saying is we'll have everybody that is not a time share do centralized.
That's right, that's right.
And we only pick up.
Or they opt into the backdoor service for those $7 a month. So as an individual, I can do that and have you guys pick up my recycling also. But as you say right now, we only have maybe 10 of those. So, okay, so big picture.
If everybody done it right and all the residents that didn't want the backdoor service would use it the right way in a perfect world.
Yeah.
I really think we can handle the backdoor service, but they're not going to do it the right way.
Right.
And
I mean,
I
you're
think,
still
I
gonna be
think, I
separating.
think you would gather more recycle, which is great, for other purposes, but I don't think that we would be gaining efficiency as far as, because we're still gonna be picking up, a lot of recycle. And we just don't have the truck to do it.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking is by requiring the DRVOs and the time shares and then adding that to the people who want that door service, that group, is that still too big for you to handle? Because it's gotta be smaller.
Without maybe knowing an exact number.
You got about 100 residents that are using recycle right now.
Yeah, I
And
know.
if you moved to that back door, you don't know how many are gonna go, so 50 of them go to back door, you might end up being, and just the way I'm thinking about it, you might be in the same situation.
You might be doing a wash.
100 shop might be a little more. I would like that time and won't get it. The backdoor service, I don't have anything against that at all. But what people grasp that, hey, the city's coming to the back door, everybody's gonna want, and that's gonna take a lot more time. You can't, a lot of
That-
places, you can't get into the driveway with that, that's a good kind of stuff. Well, does that make sense?
I'm sure y'all run into that too.
Are y'all do this like every day, or do y'all have certain days you do it?
No, we normally do recycling to some extent every day.
Every day.
We normally use pickup trucks or pickup trucks and trailers. We don't have the big rigs that we take up people's driveways, so we can get it in and out of places a lot faster, a lot easier.
I'm told in agreement with you, Larry and Nate and the people that make the net, it just looks better to pick it up and go on. And we do it one time a week, so that we've got 4 people out there. And if they have to stop and do that, versus I can schedule other things for that day, you know what I'm saying, to have other things taken care of. I'm not against recycle, but it takes a lot of man time and hours to do what we do with that. Of course, like you said, education, that's number one, and the second thing is there's always gonna be that one, it's just not gonna happen. You're gonna have to clean it up, pick it up, scatter it, and
he was saying that they sort it, there at the house.
Right.
When they grab it, so they kind of avoid a little bit of that. We don't have resources for that.
Well, that's what we used to do.
In a different truck, right? Yeah.
We could do it
But
again.
since
It's just
we do it.
cost a little more.
Yeah, and it's.
We would have to buy a new truck, you know, or a flatbed and put the lids on it.
The question I had is, you said 100, you guys are running 4 trucks, is that 100 per truck?
That's
Or is that just 100, and then is that the on-season or the off-season?
So we have
One truck, pretty solid, took me up and gone.
Oh, okay. All right, and 100, is that
that's,
off-season or is that peak season?
that was just an average. Sometimes in the winter time, we bought stuff, you know, 50 times or 60 times. Summertime, maybe 150 times or 200 times.
It fluctuates a lot.
It does. The summer time, from May until end of August, September, you're looking at maybe 150, 200 stuff. And a lot of times it takes 2 days to do it.
So you charge $30 a month for recycle and $30 for trash, is that what I got?
No, it's just, we just charge the $30 a month.
For everything. And our budget right now is 23 a month.
We've been 23 for, well, probably close to 10 years or more.
Could we do it for less than 30, or would it take us more than 30 to break even?
You know, when the trash truck went down, 3.5 years ago, I think that the tipper part, this is back during COVID supply chain, we couldn't get the part.
Right.
And we talked about privatization then. And at that time, I was told the break even was 25. I would say now 30, and with fuel prices, who knows? I mean, of course, I would say minimum 30. And the thing on the backdoor service, in the 5+ years I've been here, you always hear about the sweet little widow. You're a widow. That was plugged in as an option. I don't think it was ever intended to be like mainstream, but you think about the Miss Such and Such, you know, her husband died 3 years ago, and she's got that big house and she's got that steep driveway, and you know, but she wants to pay an extra $7 a month. We'll go get it for her. That was the whole purpose behind that.
I think that's one of the things I'm learning more and more about. Part of the culture here is kind of to do a little extra for people.
Yeah.
To try to help your neighbor, and to try to do these things. So I think that's where some of those programs come from. We're just trying to make sure everyone gets the same level of service, and that we're serving our residents really well without burdening them too much with pay, but we have to make sure our guys are taken care of. So that's what discussion is swirling around, but I feel like we've got pretty far. Is there anything more we want to discuss? Anything more that y'all had to say?
The only thing I would add is when we've had conversations about having bins centralized, we don't have a location for those right now. So that is another reality that we have, is finding a spot that they could go, that it would need to be on property that we own. We just don't own it. And you probably would need, I would say at minimum, probably an acre to have the bins, the parking, the turnaround, the buffering, the screening, et cetera, et cetera. So, and we just,
Those are free.
no, those bins, we would have to buy those bins.
Okay, so, couple things.
Yeah.
I'd say that's probably closer to a half an acre, just in the areas that I've worked with
Yeah.
before. They're like 20-yard bins separated inside. And you need 2 or maybe 3 of those. I talked to a company yesterday, called Waste Liquidators, I think. Anyway, out of Gainesville. And they have the bins, and they are rentable, and they also do the haul off.
I mean, that was going to be the next question, is that I know from the public works staff, how would we carry those off to be entered? I mean, empty,
Okay,
yeah,
so-
yeah.
So then instead of going down to the dump, you guys would go to the central place that we're collecting and do your separation there. Okay, which would be on property here. Yeah. Big savings in terms of going all the way down on that, and hopefully you'd be dealing with somewhat less than you're working with now. So the woman I talked to, from, Waste Liquidators, their central, their center office is in Gainesville. She lives in Dillon. She offered to come up next week and view our situation and talk over their program and talk over costs. And we wouldn't have regular haul off, we'd have a haul off when the bins are full. Okay. And we had to see what the costs are, and that's what they do for a living too. And they do industrial waste, they do composting, industrial composting, they do, they're pretty complete deal. Anyway, so they're used to hauling the bins down to the dump and doing the separation there. So just as an alternative, and I think, it sounds to me like we got two really good possibilities for alternatives. And maybe the hybrid idea of having VRBOs and the timeshare requiring backdoor, maybe I gotta let that one go. I'm surprised at how much more burden that puts on you guys. So maybe we just, and then we're gonna say, give them the option of going down to the central recycling place, and people like me who get VRBOs occasionally, we want to know where to recycle, we'll do that. That vast majority probably won't. But I think it's worth pursuing both possibilities. I mean, do you guys agree with that, or do you think I'm full of bullshit?
The centralized location, of course, the area, the property, we've got so many other things too that we need to have property for, brush, chicken,
Right.
Stockyards for rock, that kind of stuff. The trailers on the centralized location, they would have to be somewhat fireproof. That's a tractor shed. We have a dumpster in there. We have that big hog wire and fire.
Oh, they don't care about that. Yeah, I've actually got some pictures here. I went to these sites yesterday.
Jesse, I think personally, we need to look at going up on rates first.
Yeah.
We're gonna have some money to either buy land, buy another truck. If we're gonna continue,
That's very true. Exactly.
if we're gonna continue to do the recycling.
Well, that picture when you sent, I have a quick think about that.
Okay, I had there's some other possibilities too.
Staff and some staff too, as far as going to the centralized location that I know that you're gonna have to do it online.
Isn't that what you do down at the landfill?
No. The Rockport, yes, but the other, when we had that for bins, they pulled up with a forklift, got up the bins.
But you go down there with the stake truck full of mixed recycling now, right? And don't you have to separate that when you get there?
Oh, that, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So, to me, this is kind of the same, only it's local rather than driving 2 hours.
Yeah, the one quick thing I was gonna say is about that picture, the narrower opening is normally for the cardboard. They make those similar type things for the other stuff, but they also make those trailers instead of a roll-off, where you have to have a special truck, they make them as a trailer, where you just hook it to a pickup truck and go deliver it. Just, yeah,
Yeah, this guy.
yeah.
Yeah, now the only guy I saw was the roll off. Kind of,
What
yeah,
kind of,
that's
what kind of price tag we look at for one of those, you know?
That I don't know. That's not something that we.
about 10 grand for one of those trailers.
It's not bad.
So,
I was thinking about feet.
right, the basic open top 20-yard roll off is 7 grand. But when you complete it to make it recycle friendly and bear proof, it's more like 10. But what we're talking about with this outfit, who would come and do the roll off, and actually there were roll off companies all over the place who would be happy to come and pull our roll offs down there if we decided to buy it.
I mean, our county, yeah. Cause I don't know, you know, like, what if the county could come up here and help us build that satellite station? You know, just like Reagan Gap. You know,
Talking about an intergovernmental agreement, I mean, we would have to have that conversation.
But then we would also have the option of leasing. If owning the containers is too much money, or you could do a hybrid, sorry about the word again. You could say buy 1 bin a year at 10 grand and lease the other 2 until you could afford all 3. But, you know, I think we come back also to location.
don't have the land.
Be a big factor about, I mean, the compactor, there's a lot of things that don't like compactor. Some people say they can say it. If their house, then you don't want to make an eyesore.
That's right.
So they give that the location.
And it can't be somewhere remote, it has to be as accessible as.
That's right. Yeah, that's really 2 conflicting things.
Yeah.
The location that we were thinking about was the burn pit location, but we're losing that location. So,
No,
That makes him happy. He can walk up through there with his dog and check on the truck.
Where is the burn pit?
it's actually just up past the compactor on Knob Drive. Well Aid is there. We had the burn pit there, but through where the Merrill has elected not to continue that particular lease. So we have 60 days. We're actually filling that hole in, but we're in figured out mode, and we got some other things in the works, but that does kind of set us back a little bit. Obviously, there was 5 acres there that we were using.
I
Seems
thought,
to me the land is all of it. And maybe I'm being Pollyanna, but we got a lot of land here. It seems like it's something we can figure out.
we've got 2 lots together, just outside the main entrance, that we held on to rather than sell, because we might need it someday for St. Paul, or, my goodness, what happens if our garbage dump gets shut down because the developer has his interest in it.
The latest discussion, just on the side note, is a possible community center there. But you got houses, right? Putting some kind of trash. I would.
You know,
Like
more
it's a
time
question.
than me.
Yeah.
It's a little past.
You guys think that's something we would solve?
The land. I think so.
Yeah. Go left down. You go
Well,
left down.
I really think you're gonna have to go local prices. We're not making any money on trash recycling right now. So I really think we go with the $30, you know, and no option out, just to be able to make a little money to buy the land, or to buy the bin, or to buy the truck, or.
Whatever the solution.
Right. Gonna have to go up on prices, just to be able to even start anything different than what we're
So I think action items coming away is immediately we can get some education going and start doing that side of it because it's practically free of no credit costs. So I would suggest that be an action item. And then continuing to break down, I think we have really good options now, and it's more about like maybe the fine tune, how much is A cost, how much does B cost, is, you know, either it's feasible, because the central recycling system in my view is, would be really cool, but right now it feels like there's just a lot of things against it, as far as like not having the land immediately, and you have to buy or lease the, you know, the big containers, like that option a lot. I'm not sure if financials would be yet, in fact, what you're saying, to start, we have to raise rates, so.
Seems like that'd be the last thing, rather than first.
The rates?
Yeah.
I think we have to raise rates because it's already not profitable.
I'm not saying,
Not
I'm
profitable.
not saying we wouldn't, I'm just saying to put a number on it.
Yep.
We need to figure out what everything's gonna cost.
Yeah, to raise rates, I think that's for the front of the council. So I'm thinking just for consideration, looking at all those in more detail, I guess.
Would it help to do the recycling every 2 weeks, instead of every week?
Not with the same small bins.
You can fit everything.
Yeah.
And actually,
If you did, in a perfect world, if you could keep those people to only doing what they're supposed to, if we only done it every 2 weeks, it would be. But, you know, those people are gonna suck all that stuff up. Put it out.
well, it was every week you tell the house and then they change it for every 2 weeks, and everybody's going, oh my God, what's gonna happen? There's what I thought.
Okay, get it.
That's interesting, because, nationally, when things aren't on a really regular schedule, things tend to break down. And that's great that I worked for y'all in Tallahassee. I was on a committee for 15 months in Lake County, Florida, and we studied all this stuff. And we looked at all these alternatives from picking up different times and stuff, and what it came to is it really has to be a regular thing.
Would that be a cut of service? Would we consider that a cut of service? If we went to 2 weeks?
You're still offering the same service, it's at different times. I'm not sure how people react to that.
I think that, you know, if everybody knows it's on a Monday now. And I remember back before I got acclimated to that, I was going down to the gap and sorting it by hand, and that was pretty easy, it was self-explanatory. But it's a lot easier to remember Monday morning, put up the daggone recycles. And, you know, people in Scott Valley entertain, and so all of a sudden, you know, after that, they've got a whole pile of beer cans.
They should have that.
And they don't wanna hold on to those for 2 weeks.
I'm just wondering, you're ending up with the same quality regardless, right? You just have to
Might
do a
be
lot
spending
more
4
on
days with
every
it, too.
week schedule with that.
You know, more burdensome.
I mean, yeah, maybe it's worse in a way.
If you're getting the same amount, now you're spending 4 days every other week versus 2 days every week.
If you have a big party and you got so much stuff that you can't wait, just take it down to Raven Gap. You know, it's simple enough.
Yeah.
I think we're at a point we can exit discussion and have a motion for adjournment possibly.
I can stay longer if y'all want to.
Okay, I got one more. I was just thinking, we were talking about education. What a nice job Sharon does.
Absolutely.
Getting our newsletters and stuff to us. I mean, she really professional, and maybe we could tap into her abilities on part of the education.
Yeah.
One more thing, Jason probably knows better than any of us in here, so, the property that the city has, that we went out and looked at several times about trying to do other stuff with, is, a lot of it is, it's just nearly impossible to do anything with. Creeks run through it, is that right, Jason?
Yeah, I mean, we do own some scattered lots. As Mr. Curtis said, we have 2 lots that's if you know where the blue house is, just got built on the left as you're coming in for the entrance. The wooded area right there in the curve, we own 2 lots, the city owns 2 lots there.
That's kind of better.
That would be probably ideally, possibly a couple of houses would be built there if somebody, if we ever sold that, or community center, city hall, et cetera. We own a lot next to the firehouse there, but it's rough. We talked about doing a dog park there maybe. We own the lot on Lost Valley. That's where we have all the rock and stuff set. We own the 2 lots up at Wildberg at the top of Alex Mountain. We kept those lots because they're right next to the Alex Mountain water tank, and we need the elevation for an additional tank. So, but other than that,
But the one on Alex Mountain. Right there, if we look at, when we turn on Alex Mountain, off Drive, go down.
that lot got sold.
It's sold.
That lot got sold. The 2 lots we had on Saddleback got sold.
What about the one on top of it?
They got sold. Now,
Those was bad, I was talking about it. A lot of
we have a lot on LaBelle Circle. We have that lot on LaBelle Circle, but it's
When we talk about
triangle, it's not really
way out of place,
That's right.
oh, that's way out of place.
the one we. I was just referencing to Mr. Curtis that that when we sold some of we liquidated some properties a couple years ago, and we kept those 2 lots as you mentioned there near the entrance, and then we kept the that triangle piece there on LaBelle Circle there, past Mr. Cooper's house. But
I didn't know if you want on gold, so.
there's only 1 lot. The one option too, just, I know Tom was going on, just thinking about his time, but there are some lots that are in arrearment that we have looked at trying to buy. There's some moving parts to that. If you get painted into the corner, when they do those courthouse sales, we have to put the first bid in, and if somebody outbids us, we can't add another bid.
Huh.
And then they have a year. You have to hold on to it for a year, and they have a year to repay the taxes. So that's really not a viable thing for us. But unfortunately, one of the largest property owners that we all know who that is, they have pretty much stated their position that they're in an all or nothing. They're not interested in selling any particular pieces. We've tried to buy that 5 acres that we talked about. We spent couple $100 getting it appraised. But they're not interested in selling it. But there are some scattered lots out there. I mean, that people own. The issue is just trying to find, if you're talking about putting trash or something, finding that lot that's strategically located, but that's not going to be next to your neighbor that's going to drop about a trash facility. It's going to be difficult.
The only other thing I was gonna add is most of our education or most of our documents, advertisements and all that, we create all those in Canva. I'm assuming that's probably what you guys use here, but it's very simple, very low cost, I mean, to do the education stuff.
Yep. That's no big deal. Any further discussion? Anything else?
How do we go about developing our future agendas?
Last time I know about.
Okay.
Was there a better way?
No, I just wanted-
I'm open.
Okay. I'll do it right.
Or do you?
Okay.
Think we can adjourn if there's no further discussion?
I move we adjourn. Aye.
Yeah.
Pleasure to meet you.
Distribution.